The most dangerous lie you've ever been told is that talent is enough. Look around. The world is a graveyard of brilliant failures. Men with 160 IQs who are working for bosses they despise. Authors with masterpieces tucked in desk drawers. Strategic minds who can see 10 steps ahead but haven't taken the first one. Niccolo Machiavelli looked at these geniuses and saw something pathetic. He saw men who were so in love with their own thoughts that they forgot how to breathe in the real world. To Machiavelli, a genius who gets nowhere isn't a genius at all. He's a dreamer who has been outmaneuvered by a mediocre man who understood one thing: power. The world doesn't care about your potential. It doesn't reward what you could be. It only rewards what you have the ruthlessness to take. If you're tired of being the smartest person in the room while being the least successful, it's time to stop thinking like a philosopher and start acting like a prince. You don't need more information. You don't need another degree. You need to understand the mechanics of impact. Because in the game of life, an idiot who moves is always more dangerous than a genius who stays still. You have met this person. You may be this person, the one who can diagnose every dysfunction in their company but never leaves it. The one who understood the relationship was over 8 months before they admitted it. The one who has the plan, the insight, the perfect read on the situation, sitting in a drawer untouched while less capable people move past them using half the understanding and twice the will. This is not a story about stupidity. It's a story about a trap that only catches smart people. Understanding feels like progress. That is the trap, and it is the entire trap. When you finally see why your father was the way he was, when you finally name the pattern in every relationship you've walked into, something in your body relaxes. It feels like you've done something. It isn't smaller. It's exactly the same size it was before you understood it. Nothing outside your skull has moved. All that changed is your relationship to your own discomfort. You traded the anxiety of confusion for the calm of explanation, and you called that calm progress. Machiavelli did not respect this trade. He spent years in exile after being tortured and removed from Florentine politics. Every night, he put on his old formal robes and read the ancient historians alone in his study, entering, as he put it, the courts of ancient men. For 4 hours a night, he understood everything. The fall of republics, the mistakes of princes, patterns stretching back 1,000 years. None of that understanding by itself was going to get him his old position back. What changed his life was converting it into the prince. A document aimed outward, meant to get him back in the game, not to make him feel wise while he sat outside it. He understood that clarity which does not lead to action is just a more sophisticated form of paralysis, dressed up in better clothes. Here is what makes this so hard to catch in yourself. The smarter you are, the better your explanations feel. A sharp mind can build an airtight case for why now isn't the right time, why this person isn't worth confronting yet, why the risk doesn't make sense. The explanation is genuinely good. That's what makes it dangerous. You're not being lazy, you're being persuaded by your own intelligence to do nothing, and your intelligence is good enough to make that feel like wisdom. A trader watches a setup form and knows exactly how it will reverse, says nothing, and closes the chart having grown nothing except his private certainty that he understood it correctly. A writer keeps a manuscript in a drawer that is better than most of what gets published, refining the analysis of why it is good instead of ever letting it be judged. Neither of them is lazy. Both of them have simply learned to mistake the relief of understanding for the reward of having acted. Ask yourself what you have understood in the last year that you have not acted on. Not what you have learned, what you have understood and sat on. That list is where your life is actually being spent. There is a specific fantasy that intelligent people carry, usually without noticing it, that if they study a system long enough, mastery of it will arrive on its own, like a reward for attendance. Study the psychology of negotiation long enough and you'll become a negotiator. Study the dynamics of the industry long enough and opportunity will recognize you. Study people long enough and influence will follow. It doesn't. Machiavelli is explicit about this in a way that is almost insulting to the mind that wants to skip the hard part. Fortune, he says, is like a river that floods. You cannot stop it by understanding hydrology. You stop it by building the dam before the flood comes. Understanding the flood is not the dam. It never was. This is where a certain kind of person gets stuck for decades. They become connoisseurs of the game instead of players in it. They can tell you exactly what a room is doing to itself the moment they walk into it, and they mistake that perception for participation. The perception is not wrong. It is simply not the same currency as power, and no amount of it converts automatically into the other. But a spectator who understands the play perfectly is still a spectator. The actor who fumbles half his lines is still the one who was on stage. Power, in Machiavelli's world, was never given to the person with the most accurate map. It went to the person willing to walk into the territory the map described, uncertain, exposed, and wrong about some of it, and adjust in real time. The map maker who never leaves the room is not humble. He is hiding and calling the hiding preparation. Cesare Borgia, the model Machiavelli studied most closely, did not wait to master every detail of a territory before moving into it. He moved, made mistakes in full view of everyone watching, and corrected them on the ground in real time, while the careful men around him were still drawing maps. That is the actual difference between the two of them. Not intelligence. Borgia was not the smarter man in that story. Willingness to be wrong in public where it counts, instead of only right in private where it doesn't. The question underneath this part is simple, and most people flinch from it. What have you been calling preparation that is actually just a very well-decorated form of staying still? There is a version of intelligence that gets rewarded constantly and produces nothing permanently. Being right in the argument. You correct someone's logic. You catch the flaw in the plan before anyone else does. You're the one who says, that won't work, and, months later, it doesn't work, and everyone remembers that you called it. This feels like status. It is not power. It is commentary, and commentary has never once built anything. Machiavelli did not admire the advisor who was always technically correct. He admired the actor who moved the pieces, even imperfectly, because the pieces moving is the only thing that changes the board. An advisor who is right and ignored has changed nothing. A prince who is wrong and adjusts has changed everything, including, eventually, whether he is still called wrong at all. Cesare Borgia, the model for much of The Prince, made mistakes constantly, brutal, costly, sometimes fatal to others' mistakes. But he kept moving pieces. He accumulated territory while more careful, more correct men accumulated only reputations for being careful and correct. Here is the part that stings. The room does not remember who was right. It remembers who changed something. You can spend a decade being the smartest person in every meeting you're in and leave with nothing but a reputation for being smart in meetings. That reputation does not compound. It does not become capital. It becomes a story people tell about you at the exact moment they explain why someone else got the job. Think about the specific shape this takes in an office. Someone else, often someone with half your grasp of the actual mechanics, proposes the flawed version of the idea you had 8 months ago. They get it wrong in 3 places you could name in your sleep, and they still walk away with the promotion, the budget, the credit, because they attach their name to something that moved, however imperfectly, while your correct analysis sat in a comment on a shared document that nobody reopened. This is not the world being unfair. This is the world running on exactly the mechanism Machiavelli described 500 years ago. Territory goes to whoever occupies it, not to whoever could have occupied it best. Being right about the plan that never launched has never once shown up on anyone's resume. Being wrong about the plan that did launch and adjusting twice along the way shows up as experience, as a track record, as someone people want in the room next time. If you have built your identity around being the one who sees it first, sit with this discomfort. Seeing it first was never the assignment. Moving on, it was. Every genius who goes nowhere has a version of the same sentence running underneath their life. When the conditions are right, I will act. The conditions are never right. Machiavelli did not believe in a world that eventually clears itself for you. He believed in virtù, a word that has no clean translation, but means something closer to the capacity to impose your will onto circumstance, rather than wait for circumstance to invite you in. The prince who waited for stability before seizing territory never got territory, because stability is what exists after someone seizes it, not before. Stability is a consequence of action, not a precondition for it, and mistaking the order of those two things is the exact place where waiting quietly becomes permanent. This is the quiet cruelty of the right time trap. It feels responsible, it feels mature, it feels like patience. But patience and paralysis look identical from the outside, and after enough years, they become identical on the inside too. You stop being able to tell the difference between waiting wisely and simply not moving. Machiavelli split the world into virtù and fortuna, what you impose and what simply happens to you, and he was blunt about which one most men secretly prefer to blame. Waiting for the right conditions is a way of quietly handing your entire life over to fortuna while telling yourself you're still the one in control because you're choosing to wait. You are not choosing. You have simply outsourced the decision to a moment that will never arrive on its own and called the outsourcing a strategy. Think about the business that never launches because the market isn't ready yet. The market is never ready. It becomes ready retroactively once someone occupies it badly enough, publicly enough, for long enough that other people start calling it obvious in hindsight. The people who get somewhere are rarely the ones with the clearest conditions. They're the ones who treated unclear conditions as the actual terrain, not as an obstacle blocking the real terrain that would show up later. There is no later terrain. This was always it. If you're waiting for certainty before you act on what you already understand, ask yourself honestly, has certainty ever actually arrived for you before on anything that mattered? Or have you only ever moved when the discomfort of not moving finally outweighed the fear of moving wrong? That is not wisdom arriving. That is simply pain winning an argument that logic had already lost months earlier. There is a particular graveyard that ambitious, intelligent people fill quietly over the years. The notebook, the notes app, the folder of ideas that were good enough to write down and never good enough, apparently, to try. This is not a storage problem. It's a confession. Every idea you've recorded but never executed is evidence that some part of you decided the idea, sharp as it was safer, left theoretical. A theory can't fail. A theory can only be admired quietly by the one person who ever saw it, which is a very small audience to have spent years impressing. Machiavelli's own insight would have died in a drawer too if he'd only written The Prince for himself. He wrote it to be read by someone with the power to use it, Lorenzo de' Medici, because he understood that an idea's value is not intrinsic to the idea. It's realized only in the hands of someone willing to spend it. An unspent insight is not wealth. It's a rumor of wealth that only you have heard, repeated to yourself often enough that it starts to feel like a balance sheet instead of a story. Go back through what you've written down and never done. Not because you should feel bad about it, that accomplishes nothing either, but because the pattern in that list will tell you exactly what kind of fear has been running your life quietly, disguised as thoughtfulness. It is rarely the idea itself you were protecting. It was always the version of you that hadn't tried yet and could therefore never fail. The correction here is not to think less. It's to stop treating thought as the finish line. Machiavelli's entire body of work is a demand that intelligence report for duty. Not intelligence as decoration, not intelligence as identity, not intelligence as the quiet comfort of being the one who understood it all along. Intelligence as a tool that is only proven real the moment it changes something outside your own head. This means building a different relationship with your own insight. The next time you understand something clearly about a person, a situation, a system that's been limiting you, treat that clarity as an alarm, not a resting place. The clarity is not the reward. It's the signal that the actual work, the uncomfortable work, is now due. Start smaller than your ambition wants you to. Machiavelli's princes did not seize empires on day one. They took the nearest fortress first, because a small, real gain teaches the body something 1,000 accurate predictions never will. That your understanding can survive contact with the world. That is the entire skill you are missing. And it is a skill, not a personality trait. It is trained the same way anything else is trained. Badly at first, then less badly through repetition, not through more understanding. You already have the mind for this. Machiavelli was not writing to make people smarter. He was writing to convert the smart people who were already losing into people who might, for once, actually win. The insight was never the missing piece. The willingness to spend it was. If this reframed something for you, tell me in one word: move. Machiavelli spent the rest of his life trying to get back into a room that had already thrown him out once. Most people never even take the first fortress and then wonder, years later, why the empire never came. If you want to keep sharpening the same mind that just sat through this, not to understand more, but to finally move on what you already understand, subscribe.